Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. I'm feeling sassy today because I need to preface this video with the fact that I had a video planned for last week, and that video was specifically related to what we're talking about today, which is the movie called Ex Door Neighbor. I had planned to talk about this movie and react to the movie for you guys because, if it's a movie on Tubi, it's probably not that amazing, right? Like, it's probably not that great. It kind of had a Lifetime-esque title and everything. So I was like, okay, like, I'll just react to it and see how much of this, I can cut out to upload, right? Blocked. Not even copyrighted, blocked. So, like, I am probably gonna have to do a couple rounds of this video before I can actually get it uploaded because I do want to include some of my commentary in there from the video because it's hilarious. This movie is crazy, and so it's a good watch. And that's why it bothers me that I wasn't able to upload it. So I now have beef with Mar Vista that I didn't have before. Needless to say, this movie is called Ex Door Neighbor, and it is exactly what you think it is, but also not at all what you think it is, and better than what you think it might be. So, in my head, I figured, hey, this is probably just a Lifetime movie, but starring black people. And I'm here for it, right? Like, I want to see more bad movies that are like Lifetime-esque type of movies that star black people because I feel like, for one, Lifetime is like very white, like very like heavily in that direction. But also, whenever we talk about bad movies that have black people in them, they're always like these like hip hop gangsta movies. And I feel like, yes, sometimes like, you know, a movie can be a little ghetto and that's fine. But like also there are black people who live in high rises and they also have white people problems too. So like, and this is one of those movies where they have a white people problem, and I love that. I love that for us. This movie is a ride, and I want to take you on it. So this movie actually opens with a white lady. It's this lady who is going into like a high-rise apartments, and she's going to her penthouse loft, okay? Like that's where she lives. And it looks like she's winding down from the day. She's got a bottle of wine, some ice cream. She's just chilling. And granted, I will say that this lady did serve, okay? Like, she's got the hair, she's got like these big glasses. Like, I actually think she's very cute. So, she's winding down from her day when all of a sudden her record that she's playing starts to like sound funky, and that creeped me out immediately. But she's about to relax when she starts coughing, and she throws up, which is disgusting, and she ends up on the ground coughing, hacking, and foam is coming out of her mouth, and she's gone. Oh, we watching her go. We watching her. But then we immediately cut to boom, another couple. This couple is our main couple, Imani and Dion. They are seemingly meeting outside of yet another city type of building because that's the scenery that we're getting around for this entire movie, is that they live in a big city. And so they are going into this building, and it seems like they are meeting a realtor to see about an apartment or to see about some place that they want to move. But before they can even go in, Dion is worried about work. He's very clearly, like, immediately the story sets up that he is a work guy, that he is focused on work, and work almost always like takes priority, almost to the point that it is bothering Imani. And she is like, okay, you need to get off the phone. We're trying to do something for our relationship together. Get off the phone. So he gets off the phone, and they're kissing or whatever because, they're when they run into this eerie, like, weird doorman named Teddy, who's like, excuse me, like, you two, like, he pretty much is like, hey, stop making out, like, which, I mean, granted, he's kind of weird, like, he's creepy, and they set him up to be creepy, but, like, also, if I saw somebody kissing in my doorway and I was a doorman, I'd be like,
It's not that. Coming inside?
Mance is making the same face as me. I'm like... But the realtor that they're meeting, named Nicolette, she assures them that Teddy's just doing his job and, like, he's just a weirdo. Like, that's how he is. So they get up to the apartment and we immediately see that this is the same apartment that we just saw this lady pass away in.
Private balcony with breathtaking views.
It's the same.
And here we have your pantry and a second.
But we immediately see that this is the apartment that the lady that we saw at the beginning passed away in. And so it's kind of weird. But also, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. You're a realtor, you gotta sell stuff, right? While they're in the apartment, Dion gets another phone call and he decides to take it, like the idiot that he is. I'm like, you're gonna ruin your relationship taking work calls, you dumbo. Like, stop. Literally, I hate when people are like this, where they're like, oh my gosh, my phone keeps going off. Like, just turn it off. Turn it off. Like, if you don't want to get the notifications, turn it off. Like, we have free will, guys. But he does it anyway, and Imani and Nicolette just sort of talk about the apartment, and they just, you know, chat for a little bit. And when Dion returns, he sort of expresses that he likes the apartment, but he's a little sus about, like, how they got in so quickly. Like, he's wondering, like, how did we get in here? Like, you know, it seemed really fast that they were able to move up the wait list to be able to see this apartment. But Nicolette assures them, like, hey, you got one chance at this. You got to decide right now. So they decide to take the apartment. So I didn't know where to put this in, but Imani has a sister named Jada who, like, comes up sort of briefly within the story, and I wanted to bring her up now because there's a scene where she's talking to Imani, but it's kind of a nothing scene. Like, there's nothing about this scene that really comes up later, so I'm just gonna skip over it. But later, as they're moving in, and Imani is, you know, waiting on Dion to, you know, come back upstairs, she decides, okay, I'm just gonna go downstairs and see what's going on with him. And she finds that he is talking to this random woman that she doesn't know by the door. When she gets over there, Dion introduces her and says, hey, this is my ex-wife, Tamara. We find out that Tamara is also a lawyer like Dion, and that she had a client in the building, and so she was visiting this client, and they ran into each other and were chatting, and it's very clear that everything is uncomfortable, and she makes it even more uncomfortable when she references him as Woody. Now, his name is supposed to be Dion, like, Woodson, or... His last name has Wood in it, but also they make it so it's like a reference to his part. So it's like he, like, Woody is like him, and yeah. So I don't really understand this part because, like, his last name does have Wood in it. I can't remember what his last name is, but it has Wood in it, so it would still kind of make sense to call him Woody, and it wouldn't be, like, that uncomfortable. But it's still uncomfortable anyway because she, like, makes it clear that it's not about his last name.
Sorry, Woody?
Oh, that's just my little nickname for him because never mind.
You can tell that she's still into him because she touching all up on him. Like, if a woman is touching all up on a man like that, you know that something's happening. Something's happening.
However, this conversation made Imani so uncomfortable that it kind of gets brought up later that night. And Dion tries to like reassure Imani, like, hey, like, she's just my ex-wife, like, it's fine. Which, if it were me, I would be on Imani's side. I'm like, yeah, no, that was weird. Like, that whole conversation was uncomfortable and I didn't like it.
Occasionally, we'll text or check in with each other on social media, but that's it.
Sir, you're about to marry this woman. You cannot be like, sometimes we text, sometimes we check up, but no. No. Y'all don't talk no more. Like, what's not clicking, dude? You don't talk to your exes, especially if you're in a new relationship. And like, what concerns me is that he was the one who was broken up with, not the other way around. Because like, I feel like when you get these like crazy ex stories, it's like the other way around, where like he broke it off because she was getting too close and like he didn't want that closeness and like whatever. But like, she broke it off with him and now she wants him back. That's weird.
More or less, they kind of make up again. They do the deed. And later that night, as Imani is sleeping, she's woken up by this loud music. And so she goes down the hallway to find that it's her neighbor. And she asks him, like, hey, can you turn it down? Like, I know we're new in the building, but, like, can you turn it down? And he pretty much is like, no. And shuts the door in her face. So he's clearly a jerk. The next day, we see Imani and her sister Jada talking, and they're just chatting about how Imani was so uncomfortable with Tamara showing up and the conversation that they had with her in the apartment lobby when Tamara shows up yet again. And she's like, hey guys, like, nice to meet you, you know, Imani's sister. I want to talk to her really quick. And Tamara tries to, like, reassure Imani yet again, like, hey, I am back, but I'm not here to like steal him away. I'm just here, like, you know, I want us to be friends. Like, I want this to be a good relationship between all three of us, sort of thing. And Imani's like, again, still sus on it, but like, what can she do? Then we cut to Dion talking to his coworker Paul, and they are just sort of talking about work, like, hey, I want to close this case, like, I want it to be closed, I want us to have good press, and like, if we try to take this to court, it's not gonna end the way that we want it to, like, it's gonna be too difficult, so let's just close it and take a deal, right? And Paul is like, I don't know, but maybe we should do that, I don't know. So they're talking about work. But then Dion is told that his wife is in his office, and he goes into his office, and of course, him thinking it's Imani, it's not, it's Tamara, because who else would it be? Tamara has brought him lunch, and she just wants to chat with him. That was so evil!
This is a surprise.
Well, I am the queen of surprises, so.
And this conversation goes okay, but like, again, you can tell that like Tamara wants him back. Like, there's no reason she would do this other than she wants to get him back. And at some point, I don't remember when, but we find out that like Tamara is the one who broke up with him. So he was the one on the receiving end of being broken up with, and it had to do with him being too attached to his work. So yeah, like, more or less, Dion is stupid.
You tell that woman no. I don't understand. You can be cordial with your ex, but you cannot be friends like that when you're the one who got broken up with. Like, if he had broken up with her, I think it would be a completely different story. But she still clearly, like, has a reason to have feelings for him. So, like, it's not cool, dude. It's not cool. Like, you know, in Obsessed with Beyonce, and who else is in that? In that movie, Idris Elba's character is so like, get away from me, stay away from me, I am married, I have a child. Why can he not be, why can this guy not, it's, just irritates me.
Then later at dinner, Imani and Dion are talking, and he's sort of talking about his current case, and she's like, kind of listening to him, not really listening to him. And, you know, she's sort of wanting to talk about like wedding stuff and things like that, but they get interrupted because Tamara is at the door, and she's like, oh, I just want you to look over some of these papers because we're both lawyers, so like, you know, you can look over these papers for me because you're better at it. And they go to his office, and Dion, of course, like invites her to dinner and is like, yeah, you know, like you should stay for dinner, and we'll have dinner while we're talking about these papers that you need help with. And Imani does not get asked whether or not this is okay. He just assumes it's okay with her, which obviously is upsetting. So Imani brings them dinner, and when she does, she finds that they're laughing and giggling in the office, and it's because they're not even working on what they said they were going to. Tamara has brought up like old pictures of them and is like talking about their wedding and their wedding night and things like that, and it's just really uncomfortable for Imani and really inappropriate for Dion to be doing.
Yeah, just stuff you wouldn't really know about or understand, really. Almost.
Ma'am, sir, can you stand up for your fiance for once? Like, can you not? I know men don't often think about how like women sort of play games with each other and stuff, like how we had the little mind games, but it's just so like, it's so obvious here. It's like, I'm stunned. I'm stunned at this man.
But before things go any further in the conversation, Tamara has to leave, so Imani feels maybe a little bit better about that. However, Imani is sort of putting things away in the kitchen when she realizes that her bridal magazines are in the trash. Now, I personally think, my guess was that her sister Jada had done it because they had had a conversation about them earlier in the movie, but Imani accuses Tamara of doing it, and Dion is like, when would she have done that? She wasn't even in the kitchen for that long, and he essentially defends Tamara.
Whether you like it or not, I did have a life before I met you. Tamara would never disrespect our relationship.
And how would you know?
Because I've
And of course, with all of this stuff that like is being brought up about Tamara, Imani feels really uncomfortable, and Dion just doesn't seem to believe that Tamara's doing anything wrong, and so they get into an argument, and during this argument, we as the audience discover, like, this is a big reveal if you didn't know the name of the movie or the premise of the movie, and this is when we get the reveal that Tamara has hidden a camera in their room and is watching them live while drinking a glass of wine. Like, this is her TV show, is watching her explode their relationship.
You are my present and my future.
We also end up seeing their neighbor that was really obnoxious from earlier. We see him have the same fate as the lady at the beginning, and he passes away with like the foam in his mouth. So the next morning, Imani and Dion had made up, so they are having a little bit better of a conversation. Imani's like, hey, you know, I want to do all this wedding stuff, like, let's get into it, like, let's choose some wedding music, you know, things like that. And Dion doesn't seem super excited about it, but they're still on good terms and stuff when they run into the neighbor's body being taken out in a bag. And of course, they're wondering to Nicolette, they're like, hey, what's going on here? What happened? And Nicolette explains, like, oh, we think he died of natural causes, like, yeah, he's gone. Imani does not really believe that, so she goes down to talk to Nicolette and really like get the lowdown on what's going on. And Nicolette like immediately admits like, oh yeah, I don't think it was natural causes. I think someone is like, you know, going around getting people, and someone got in your apartment, by the way. And Imani's obviously like, why didn't you tell us that? Like, someone literally passed away in our apartment and you didn't tell me that? Like, and I'm thinking, like, isn't it, like, illegal to, like, not tell them that? Like, aren't you supposed to disclose that information? Like, I don't know, but it seems really unethical to not do that. But within them sort of talking about the building and about what's going on, Nicolette and like she sort of, but Nicolette tells Imani that the way that somebody might be getting these people is that there's secret passageways within the building, which is like so crazy and ridiculous, but I guess that's how they chose to explain that.
The owner who designed this place installed hidden passageways for his mistresses to escape through.
That literally makes no sense. That makes no sense.
However, for some reason, this doesn't strike Imani as really weird that this building is built like this. And she says, oh, I think it may have been Tamara because I didn't see her leave. Like, who knows if she actually left the building last night? Maybe that was her doing it, which to me is like a stretch. I feel like when Imani accuses Tamara of like some of the stuff that she does, it's a little bit of a stretch. But then we cut to Dion at work, and he gets a big basket gift on his desk that says happy birthday with love. So it's his birthday and he's got this gift, and he, you know, smells the cologne and looks through everything, and he texts Imani saying thank you for the gift, and she's like, what are you talking about? And he realizes, of course, it was Tamara. He thanks her for the cologne, but also sort of tells her, like, hey, Imani might feel uncomfortable with you doing this kind of stuff, so, like, maybe cool it. And Tamara's like, oh, okay, like, I gotta go, though. And we find that Tamara is going into a correctional facility, and she's going to meet someone.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to overstep any boundaries.
It's okay.
You have overstepped so many.
But later that evening, Imani comes home with a cake, and, you know, obviously she wants to celebrate with Dion, like, by themselves. They had kind of agreed to it that morning, and she notices that there are moving boxes, and so she goes to investigate, see who's moving, and she finds out that it's Tamara moving into the apartment down the hallway, because that guy was her client who had passed away, and she's gonna move in now. And this is kind of when Tamara gets in Imani's face and admits, like, hey, you know what I'm doing? I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna get him back. However, later that evening, we sort of cut to Dion getting home from work, and Tamara is waiting for him, all dressed up in red, and she's like, do you trust me? Like, I got something for you, kind of thing. And, like, at first I was like, what is she talking about? But they revealed that it was really just a birthday party for him that has, like, all of their college friends and stuff. So a bunch of people that she knows, but not Imani, probably.
Do you trust me?
Yeah.
Not with this music.
And of course, Imani is nowhere to be found at this party, and Dion doesn't really question it that much, but Imani's sister texts her because she works a catering job and she was catering that party, and so she texts Imani saying, hey, you better get down here, your man's here with his ex-wife, and it's not looking good for you. So Imani shows up, and at the party, Dion is getting drunk. He's like dancing on Tamara and stuff. Like, it's cheating in my opinion. Like, if your mans gets drunk and starts dancing up on his ex-wife, that's when you know that he's got feelings for her still, and you need to move on. Sir,
You are dancing on your ex like that. You know that's not right. This man's an idiot.
that would have been it for me. And it kind of is for Imani, because she kind of gives him an ultimatum saying, hey, leave this party with me right now or stay and I'm gonna be mad, and this is kind of like, I'm not doing this anymore. And Dion, being the drunk person that he is, decides to stay. And while they're having this conversation, we see Tamara still Imani's phone. So when Imani leaves, she doesn't have her phone with her. However, as the party goes on, for some reason, first of all, Nicolette is there for some reason, which it's like, you don't even really know her personally, but Nicolette comes into the room and she has been stabbed. She doesn't know by whom, but she has been stabbed. And so obviously they call 911 and everything. And the problem that I have with this thing that doesn't make any sense is that why did she not go to the hospital? Like, if you got stabbed, you might need like some stitches or something. So like, why didn't they take her to the hospital? I don't know. I know for movie's sake they didn't, but like, they also have a hospital scene later in the movie, so like, it's not like they didn't already have like hospital stuff set up. So she could have easily been taken to the hospital. But after getting patched up, Nicolette talks to Dion and Tamara, and she's like, something's going on in the building. Like, this building's getting dangerous now. Like, y'all better watch your backs. And later that evening, we cut to Imani waking up to loud noises, you know, bedroom noises. And she's obviously worried because she finds that the noises are coming from Tamara's apartment. So she's worried that it's Dion. So she starts banging on the door. She's yelling, like, Dion, get out here. I know you're in there. And of course, her causing a commotion, Tamara's like, it doesn't matter who is in my apartment. Like, you need to go back to sleep. And Dion comes from behind Imani, so not from Tamara's apartment. And he's like, what are you doing? Why are you screaming out here? And, you know, he obviously puts two and two together and he's like, oh, you thought I was in there with her? I can't believe you don't trust me. Which, like, she has every reason not to trust you when you were dancing all up on her earlier. Like, this man is delusional. Imani ends up feeling like a fool because these people are gaslighting her. Pretty much. And they go back to the apartment and we find out that Tamara was actually baiting Imani by playing a bunch of those noises from her computer. So she didn't even have anyone in her apartment. So it was very clear what she was trying to do. And Imani and Dion obviously get into a heated argument when they get back to the apartment. Like, things are not going well. Dion is just not having it with Imani anymore, but Imani's also not having it with him. And it's just, it sucks because, like, I can see how Dion might think that what he's doing is okay, like, that nothing's wrong with it, but also I'm very much on Imani's side because, like, the stuff that he does is, like, very on the line of cheating. But we also find that Tamara, of course, is watching and she's obviously, like, happy about it. But the next morning, things are tense. And Imani cannot find her phone. So she, you know, is like, hey, Dion, have you seen my phone? And he's like, I don't know, but I gotta go to work. So he puts on his cologne from Tamara and heads out the door.
Oh, have you seen my phone? I can't find it anywhere.
Let me guess.
Tamara took it.
Tamara has something to do with that too.
Tamara. Is it
right?
Tamara or Tamara? Have they been saying Tamara and I'm just stupid?
And Imani decides, hey, I'm gonna go down to Lost and Found and see if they found my phone. So she goes down there and she's talking to Nicolette, like, hey, have you seen my phone? Da da da. So Imani is downstairs, and we see that Tamara decides to sneak into their apartment, which I don't know why no one is locking their apartments. Like, they always show them coming in the front door. Like, they don't show her going through, like, the little passageway or anything. So, like, is no one locking their door? I don't know, but she goes into their apartment and she looks through a bunch of drawers, is kind of looking around and stuff, like in their bedroom, and then she lays down in their bed and reminisces about her relationship with Dion, like about when they were just glowing.
This is some crazy girl stuff.
At the same time, Dion is on the phone and realizes that he forgot something for work at home. So he is making a loop back to the apartment. So everyone's in the apartment building at this point. And Dion gets back to the apartment and he, is looking for stuff. And Tamara hears him and goes to talk to him. She says, I want to talk to you. And of course, we as the audience are like, okay, so if they're about to do something, Imani's clearly going to catch them. So Imani comes back to the apartment and she walks in and she finds that Dion is by himself. He's grabbing his papers and he gets the heck out of there. But we as the audience are like, you're looking pretty sus right now because where's Tamara at, right? But Imani is looking around the room when she finds one of Tamara's like gigantic earrings, because she wears these like big gold earrings, which I'm like, how would you not notice that you lose one of those? Like a little tiny stud, I could see like not realizing you lost it, but like a big old hoop? No way. Like she put that there on purpose.
What? How would you not notice that?
We also cut back to Tamara, and she is at the correctional facility talking to someone named Calvin, and she wants to make a deal with him. Back at the apartment, though, because Tamara's out talking to this Calvin guy, Imani sneaks into Tamara's apartment, and she's looking around, and first of all, Tamara has a picture of her and Dion when they were married, and that is, like, so creepy, because, like, y'all are not married anymore. Like, y'all have been broken up for a while now. Like, that's a little, like, imagine trying to move on and then people coming to your apartment and being like, oh, who's that? Like, is that your husband? It's like, oh, he was. Oh, is he gone? No, he lives down the hallway with his new wife. Like, again, crazy. She still has a picture of them. But she breaks the photo, and then she finds her phone, and she looks at Tamara's computer, and she's looking through all the stuff, and she sees that Tamara took photos from her phone. Like, she downloaded all the information off of her phone, and she's being real creepy. But she also finds photos of Tamara and Dion, and she finds one of Tamara holding up a pregnancy test, showing that they were pregnant at some point, and that obviously crushes her. But back at the office, Paul sees Tamara walking by, and he's like, hey, what you doing? And Tamara's like, I'm bringing him lunch again, like, I'm never gonna leave him alone. And Paul's like, hey, why don't you try to leave Dion alone because he's moved on? Like, you're crazy for that. And she's like, I don't care. I'm gonna get him back. So she, like, openly admits that she's going to get Dion back. Like, that is her intention. But Tamara leaves, and so Paul decides to confront Dion. And he's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't, like, be doing what you're doing. And Dion's like, I'm not doing anything wrong, kind of thing. And Paul's like, yeah, you are. You're, like, messing with Imani's emotions. But as they're talking, Dion suddenly, like, passes out and has kind of a seizure almost. They don't refer to it as a seizure, but it's like clearly a seizure. Like if you're convulsing, it's probably a seizure, but I don't know. I don't know. At the hospital, Imani rushes in. She's like really worried, and Paul's there, and he's like, you know, he's gonna be okay. Like, doctor said things are gonna be like fine and stuff. And Imani goes to find the doctor and finds that Tamara's actually there, and that because they're still considered to be married and his emergency contact is Tamara, that she's the only one who can find out like actual information about what's going on with Dion. And this of course upsets Imani, and they sort of have like a little kerfuffle between themselves, but as they are sort of in this argument, Imani tells her like, hey, it doesn't matter what's going on with you and Dion because I got a restraining order against you, so you're gonna have to stay away anyway. But back in the hospital room, Paul apologizes for pushing Dion, like to the point of him passing out and stuff, because they said it's from dehydration. And I'm like, I don't know who seizes from dehydration. I don't know. I've never heard that, but I'm not a doctor, so maybe that's a thing that happens when you're dehydrated. But he apologizes to him, and Imani sort of, you know, is just happy that Dion's alive.
Paul's a real one, okay?
Babe. So sorry.
If anyone deserves a happy ending, it's Paul.
Did the doctor say anything?
I didn't mean to come down hard on you with the whole Tamara thing earlier. I know it's none of my business, so I won't
No,
press you about
it is your business.
After that, we find that Tamara goes back to her apartment and sees that things are, you know, in disarray. And while she's sort of looking over her stuff, realizing that, you know, Imani had been in her apartment, Nicolette shows up at the door and is like, hey, there's a restraining order against you. You got to get out. Like, they were here first. They, like, bought their apartment already, sort of thing. So, like, you got to leave. Like, based on, like, first come, first serve kind of thing. But the next day, Dion is at home and he's resting, and Imani goes in to tell him that she knows what's going on between him and Tamara. Like, she's like, I found the earring. I know y'all did stuff together, like, but I don't care. I just want us to be together. Like, now that you've had a health scare, I just want us to be together. So no more Tamara, no more talking to her. I just want us back. And he's like, oh, okay. However, amongst their sort of makeup, she steals his phone, which not very discreetly, but she steals his phone, and she goes into the other room to block Tamara's phone calls. However, on Tamara's end, we see, of course, that she's been blocked, but she really, really wants to get a hold of Dion, so she decides to go through the building passageways, which, it's like, if they're secret passageways, how does she know where they're at? But, like, she goes through the passageways, I guess, and she's looking for, you know, she's looking to get to Dion so that she can talk to him. But we cut back to later that day/evening. I can't really tell, like, what time it is, but, like, later that day, Dion is, like, resting, and he's looking up things about the building and the people who passed away. He's just kind of doing some research, like some light research, when the lights go out. And of course, he, for some reason, immediately gets out a firearm and a flashlight. And, you know, he's looking around the apartment. But he puts the firearm away when there's a knock at the door. Like, okay, if you're worried about someone being in the apartment, why did you put the firearm away? They really just was joking with this last act. Like, he answers the door and he finds that it's Teddy the doorman, and he's like, hey, like, the lights went out, we're not sure what's going on, but I want to escort you down to the lobby or whatever, and, like, I'm gonna escort you to safety. And so he trusts him and he goes with him. And at the same time, we see that Tamara has run into Imani's sister, and they get into a literal fight, like a physical altercation.
Can I help you? Are you following me, Tamara?
And Tamara takes out Imani's sister, and like she decides to take the firearm that she finds on her sister. So Tamara's now out and about. Back with Dion, he feels that something is off now. Like he all of a sudden is like, oh, things are off. And as he's discovering this, Teddy attacks him. And he like kind of grabs his head and he's like, you know, I got you, like calm down. And Dion is obviously fighting back because if somebody put their arm around your head, you would do the same thing.
You know what? Maybe I'll just wait in the condo. What are you doing? Calm down.
But during the fight, Dion gets thrown to the ground and Teddy ends up getting stabbed from behind, and he's gone. He passes away. And it's revealed that it's Imani, and Dion is like shocked, but they go back to their apartment, and when they're at their apartment, Tamara shows up. And of course she's got a firearm and she's pointing it at them, and they're obviously scared. Tamara's like, hey, I know that Imani is not who she says she is, and like she needs to fess up to not being the person that she says that she is. Like she's not even a baker or anything. Like, have you ever seen her bake? Because she ain't do that. Like that's not her job. Tamara says that Imani is actually Imani Shah, and that she is related to this man named Calvin that we've been seeing that is in the correctional facility. We find out that the building used to be an orphanage or whatever, owned by Edward Winters, the father of the two people who passed away at the beginning of the movie. But Dion doesn't really believe all of this stuff, so like he points his gun at Tamara and is accusing her, and so he gets her to put her gun down, and they all kind of calm down for a second when Imani grabs the firearm and she shoots both of them, and she's like, actually, I am who Tamara said that I am. I actually am the bad guy, and I have been working, me and my sister have been working together to try to get to you specifically, Dion, because you put our brother in jail when he didn't do anything wrong, because he was accused of taking Edward Winter's life, but we all know that his children did it for the money.
It was true. She was a secret agent with a booty.
She tried to warn me about you.
You should have listened to her.
What? This is like the craziest twist.
Where's my sister?
So they took the two people's lives at the beginning of the movie, that was them, and then now they want to get all that they can get from Dion. Like, they want him to sign, like, these papers and stuff.
I knew it. Paul is the only one who deserves a happy ending.
You let my innocent brother take the fall.
In the end, she's justified?
Thought you were the one.
You were wanting to get with Tamara the whole time. Don't even.
So this was a whole revenge plot against Dion. But eventually, Imani and Tamara get into an altercation again. Like, they're fighting and stuff, and Dion is kind of like, oh. When Tamara shoots Imani and Imani passes away and everything is happy, we get this like ending that's like, yay, they're together now, I guess, I don't know, but like things end okay. And then the very end, we get our Michael Bay moment, okay? In the end, we get a hint that Imani's sister actually lived. Are they really gonna do? That was so funny, oh my gosh. And that is the movie. That is Ex Door Neighbor. I know it got really dark in here. But yeah, that is the entire movie. That is Ex-Door Neighbor. Oh my goodness, this movie I love the twist. The twist is so crazy and like for absolutely no reason at all. And I love that they gave us hints throughout the movie that like when you first watch the movie, you would have no idea that those were even hints that they were giving us that you like needed to pay attention to. So I love that. I love that they weren't nothing scenes. Like every scene where they're talking about someone or something, it's actually important that you pay attention, because I think a lot of Lifetime movies do this where they have like nothing conversations that never come back to bite anyone in the butt. But as I said before, I'm very frustrated that I didn't get to share like all of the commentary that I wanted to, because this movie is so good to watch. Like, not like, oh, it's a great movie, but it's just like a fun movie to watch, and I wish that we could have all watched it together. But yeah, that is the movie in case you don't get a chance to watch it on Tubi. But if you would like to watch it, it is on Tubi. So yeah, that is all I have for you. I don't have much else to say. Sorry that this video didn't come out last week, but I didn't know until the last minute that my video was going to be blocked. So yeah, hopefully I can get this video out in time. And yeah, I know I try to get things out on Mondays, but I don't know if that's going to be my upload day anymore because of just like how my schedule is working out. So we will see. I will try to get out as many videos as I can when I can, and I hope that you guys just appreciate that, to be quite honest. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.